Hey everybody, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, episode 329 of the Ask GaryVee show. Perfect timing to have this tremendous gentleman who is both athlete and entrepreneur as the NBA season is now upon us. Chris Bosh is in the building. You know, and as a diehard Knicks fan and overlooking Madison Square Garden, I got to start transparent and saying between the Raptors and the Heat, not necessarily my favorite athlete of all time because he dropped way too many real games on our faces, but I've really admired Chris. You know, we had one quick dinner, I think at CES, where we were sitting on opposite sides of the table, so we didn't really get a chance to chop. But I've been able to really watch from afar, as I'm always watching. I think you've made a really strong transition into life after basketball. But before we go into that, actually, this is a great question because I know a ton of my listeners are going to have a lot of awareness of you. So I think the right first question is, what have you been up to?
Man, that is such a good question. You know what?
Let me give you the floor.
Yeah, you know, I've been, first of all, I kind of had to rebound in my situation.
Yes.
You know.
How old are you right now?
I'm 35.
Yes.
So, you know, people really don't realize, and I didn't realize either, really what happens to an athlete after you're done playing. You know, we kind of just disappear and go away. And maybe you'll see us on TV again. Yeah. But, you know, that's when I think real life starts for us.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, you know, I have 5 children. And,
it's a great number.
You know, it's an awesome number, man. And then getting into the swing of things, into being a father that's there more.
Yep.
Into being a husband that's there more.
And by the way, that takes practice.
Yeah, it does.
You know, people don't understand that. Like, you know, as for me, going hard and then having children and even like evaluating if I'm doing too much or too little, or whether it's workout regimen or business, like that is a transition in itself.
Yeah, it becomes a balancing
It's not just so
act.
all of a sudden you're like going to daycare and you know, like it's a thing.
Yeah, and you know, school and getting them prepared and, you know, moving back and forth and moving my family to Austin
and your situation's a little bit unique in the fact that, you know, obviously because I follow sports enough to know, like, it was I don't think as many people will know this. It wasn't the easiest situation that led you to not playing basketball.
No. It was a very dramatic.
Why don't you give them a little context?
Well, I mean, I got blood clots. I had a pulmonary embolism back in 15. That was really bad. I was in the hospital for damn near 2 weeks. That sucked. Had to have surgery.
Was it dangerous? Like,
yeah. I mean, you know, blood clots. Yeah. You know, I think.
Did you know something was up?
Oh, it was slowly happening. I mean, I know all the signs to look for now, but slowly. I mean, at first I thought it was cramps.
Yep.
And then a month later they come back, and then it became so debilitating. I'm like, yo, I gotta go to the. There's something wrong. But luckily, you know, made it through that.
Yep.
And then, you know, bounced back, got back into playing. You know, got back to my form of playing, the way where I was happy and everything. And then after that, my calf was sore. I go to the doctor to get a scan. Oh, I got blood clots again. And then it became a problem because I felt good. You know, I just everything just stopped all of a sudden one day. And, you know, I wasn't a happy camper.
You're 31 years old.
At the time, 32? I was 33.
Got it. Okay.
32, 33, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Still feeling like you had 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh man, 6, 7 left in me. I would still be playing right now. I think you know, I wanted to play till I was 36, but I could have, you know, potentially with the way, you know, things are going in the league now.
When's the first time somebody said to you, "Hey, you may want to consider not playing"?
Nobody ever said it.
Really?
You know, a lot of people said it, but you know,
now you're starting to sound like me. Nobody said it. Everybody said it. That's the shit I do.
I didn't listen to it.
Who? You know, Spo. Is this true? Do I have this right? Spo was at the game when Hank Gathers passed?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a fact that a lot of people don't know. Your coach at the time, you know, I'm 43. I was outrageously affected by Hank Gathers passing.
Yeah.
I was in 8th grade, super into the March Madness thing, you know, Bo Kimball. Like, it was, you know, it was a big deal. No internet back then. Big events really took over America for a week.
Yeah.
Now, Prince dies and it's a half a day on Twitter. You know, like real big stuff happens and it's a half a day with the way our world works now. Back then, something big happens, it was a week, 2 weeks in the news. Do you feel, was Coach affected by that when he communicated with you? I always wondered about that.
I mean,
I know Coach a little bit. He's a great dude.
Yeah, you know what it was. I think that was kind of everybody else's thought process going through that and saying, "Oh wow, this is dire situation."
Right.
With me, you don't necessarily tell that person that, right?
Yes.
You want them to kind of exercise things and get there by themselves. We never
What about
talked
doctors?
about it too much. I mean, doctors.
We're like, don't play.
Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, you can't play. Yeah. Oh well, you'll be fine, sir. Like, man, you've had your life, bro. I'm just really getting started with this stuff, and you're telling me that, that's kind of where the disagreements came in with the communication and our problem with communication. But that, we got over that.
Of course.
And it was just my stance was to continue to try and play, and that's what I did for about a year and a half.
And then.
Then I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this.
How did that go down? Did you just wake up one morning?
I watched, I tell people this story. I was watching, so I was in the next year, a whole year went by. I said, all right, I know I'm going to get picked up this year. I need to get into basketball. I need to watch more basketball because I kind of let it go last year. I was still working out but didn't watch any games.
Because you just needed that break?
It was just mentally, it was messing with me. It hurts because, I
wanted to be out there.
Yeah, I was right there, and I felt that we had a championship caliber team, and then it just stops one day. Then I saw Gordon Hayward dislocate his ankle in the first 5 minutes.
I was at that game.
You was at that game.
I was at that game. Luckily on the other side.
I just turned the TV on like, all right, here we go. The season's going
game,
on.
Hyped.
Bloop, bloop.
You almost threw up.
Oh, man. Yeah. I said, all right, right then and there, I knew I wasn't going to play anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I knew. And I had to keep up with the Joneses. I was I told everybody I was going to keep playing. You coming back? I'm like, yeah.
But you knew.
But I knew right then it wasn't gonna happen no more.
Really?
Yeah. It just like that thing. I was there. We were strong, and then, boy, it took all the wind out of my sail.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was done after that.
And so then, take me through the next chapter. So now yourself, you're done. You keep up the facade a little bit because it's a hard left, and so you want to go through that in what way?
Yeah.
And then what do you start thinking about next?
Man, what am I doing?
Yeah.
That's not an easy question.
Did you go into a depressed state?
I think I was already there at that point already.
Yeah.
It took about 2 years. I want to say 2 years after I was done playing. It took me that long to kind of come out the fog a little bit.
I understand.
Yeah, and I guess that's what people call it, depression.
It's funny. It's funny. My brother AJ, who's sitting right there, left Vayner. We started this together, VaynerMedia, and then 3.5 years ago, we started a sports representation business, VaynerSports. We do football now, and we have 25 guys, and our entire thesis was, off the field dynamics that we could create, but a lot of it was life after football.
Yeah.
Like these kids are, first of all, football's crazy because a lot of these guys are
way
top
crazier.
of their class. Yeah, way crazy. I mean, there's real injuries in football. There's real stuff going on. Kids are, the first round picks out of the league 3 years later for real. So, that's 25. That's 26. I mean,
What do they do usually? Like,
well,
what's the next step in that?
Most kids really screw up. They overspend their money up front. Then they're done. They're 25. And they're like, this is, this is why we did it. We're like, we think we can change it. He watched from afar that agents, and I don't even blame agents. It's not like I razz them. I don't think these are bad people. They're in business.
Yeah.
Agents are there. And then when you're not producing dollars, it's their responsibility to their company and their family to go find things that do, and they're done. And we thought the way to hack it was really be in these kids' lives.
Yeah.
Through and through, and obviously our business acumen and all that other stuff gave us leverage that they would potentially believe us. And now that we're starting to do it a little bit, Walter Powell, Derek Morgan, we're doing real stuff for these gentlemen long after football when they brought us no dollars because we came in late in their contracts. Now the reputation's working, which is giving us leverage. But going back to you, that's the thing. Like, as a kid, even right now, as a 43-year-old male who puts out content every day that yells at people that says, you're 54 and you're young, I still think athletes that retire are old. Like, when an athlete retires, I'm like, oh, they're old.
Nah, bro, because
that's the way we grew up. Like,
so
thinking. Go ahead.
Garden, we're looking at the Garden right there.
Yep.
Last week, the Hawks played a preseason game. Vince is 43.
I know.
And I've been telling people this whole story. It's like a
you
running
grew up
joke.
Loving Vince
yeah,
as a
bro,
kid.
but it's like,
He's still out there.
Vince Carter's so old. How old is he? Like everywhere he goes, and it's just, and that's on TV, man. You know how powerful TV is.
And he's not. He's not. And to your point, now what's great, I think the best thing that's happened in the culture of sports is that athletes have become, when I was growing up, athletes only wanted to maybe also or be rappers if they weren't athletes.
Yeah.
Now they want to be entrepreneurs too. And that is completely, I mean, I've got 5-star recruits when they're 16 hitting me up talking about life after basketball and football.
That's interesting.
Right? So it is now cool. It is now legit. And it also feeds a little bit of their competitive spirit.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, there's a lot of things that make me worry that entrepreneurship has gotten cool because I think a lot of people are getting into it that aren't entrepreneurs. And unlike basketball and rap, they can't be exposed real quick and they get into like their own little deep, you know, depression over time because they're not meant to be. But one thing I love about the rise of entrepreneurship is it is absolutely, I believe, something that is going to help a ton of athletes in that transition.
No, absolutely.
So talk to me about, back to the first question. What are you up to now? You get out of the fog.
Yeah,
after 2
getting out of
years
the fog,
and-
man.
and now?
Now, just trying to figure things out, really.
What's
I've
interesting
been in
you?
Japan. I've been to Australia. Media interests me. I'm working on a book for a 2020 release in the fall.
Good for you.
For next year. That's going great. I just started
working with a
getting out there and
ghostwriter?
trying to make it happen. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
ghostwriter actually lives in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Okay.
And so,
That's dope.
how's that process been? Good? Are you
It's good. I
recording?
mean, it's
Are you
happening.
interviewing?
Yeah,
How are you doing
recording.
recording?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Recording, typing, talking, interviewing.
Yeah.
It's just like a whole process. But, it's like a chemistry that you build.
When did you know, let me just bounce around a little bit here. When did you think you were going to make the league?
I knew I was going to make the league when I was 17.
You knew then.
The summer going into my senior year. Yeah,
You
I
knew.
knew. Yeah.
Prior to that, there was still kind of like, because it was such
Yeah.
a big deal. When did you want, actually,
It
that's
wa-
great. Let's keep that on the shelf for a
Yeah.
second. When did you want to go into the league?
Probably when I was like 6 or 7.
6 or
Pretty
7.
early. Yeah, very, very early. Because,
Were
my
you a
dad
Maver-
was
were you-
watching.
Were you a Mavericks fan?
Nah, the Mavericks were really bad.
I'm aware.
Yeah, they were
So
really,
what,
really
you're,
bad.
You're like every other NBA fan bandwagon?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
MJ was on TV every day.
I get it.
So at first I remember like thinking like, who is this guy? In the same team, because every time I go over my grandma's house in the summer, they're always playing. And then everybody would be around the TV watching it. And my dad would be doing the same thing. So I said, yo, I want to do that. This is the same game that we play on the playground, and it's on TV. And then after that, I said, all right, cool. That's what I want to do. And it was always there.
Was there
but
anybody in
then
your family that was really tall or athletic or things of that nature?
me.
Really? You're an enigma.
My dad is like 6'3". I mean, I have
Okay.
a couple tall uncles, but nothing.
Nothing
I
like
don't know
you.
where I came from. Yeah, I'm just a little taller.
And when did you explode in height?
From 14 to 16. Oh, thanks, man.
You went from what to what?
I went from like 6'3" to 6'10", 6'2" to 6'10", somewhere in there. So my freshman year, when I got there as a freshman, I was about 6'1", 6'2".
Really?
I left about a 6'11" prospect.
Yeah.
So, 14 to 16 was like, oh, I really want to be in the NBA. And, I was just practicing really hard, doing what I need to do. And then 17, 18, the height came with it. 19, I was out of there. So it happened fairly quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. It was like, oh, man, I'm going to play in NBA. I'm going to do all these cool things. And then they said, all right, it's time to go. I didn't, I wasn't sure I was ready, but, had
What
to
a
do what I had to
crazy
do.
draft class you were part of.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Like super crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually the one time I've been telling a lot of people lately that flip sneakers and entrepreneurs and hustlers to get into sports cards because it's getting really, really, really hot. And I did that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And the one time I got back into it was your draft class.
Oh,
Because
really?
there were so many of you guys. I was like,
You got some cards?
AJ and I were we were opening up so much Fleer basketball your year. There was so much because we were like, that was just loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an all-time class.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty good.
How did your friendship graph work with that class? Like when you guys were obviously traveling around together, well, for a couple weeks there for the draft stuff, but
Yeah.
when did you first make your connections with who were your best friends in the league?
Dude, what at that, man, just period overall?
Yeah.
But, pretty much everybody, the whole championship team was an amazing team. Everybody got along. Everybody, made great connections. Ronnie Turioff's a great friend of mine.
I love
Jared Jack.
You want to hear something funny? I have a Ronnie Turioff Jets jersey.
How do you have a Ronnie Turioff Jets jersey?
Because when he came to the Knicks, and he actually made us when he came to the Knicks, our entire friend group got pumped because he was bringing back a little bit of that '90s Knicks. He was being like a tough guy. And so for birthdays, we're always challenged to give each other gifts that are like unique. So did you give me that, AJ? So AJ got me a Ronnie Terryhoff Jets jersey, number 14, was it? Yeah. So that's how we feel about that man. Plus he knows about wine, so I fuck with him.
Oh yeah, that's my guy. Yeah, that's my man. Jared Jack's my guy. You know, he's my roommate at Georgia Tech, and we played together for a year.
Real nice career.
Yeah, he had a great career.
Really did.
And I think I'm not sure if he's still trying to play. I haven't talked to him in a minute.
He had a really nice career. He really did.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
who was your best mentor when you came to Toronto? Who did anybody kind of like take you under your wing?
Yeah, it was a few people. One was Michael Curry. He was my vet, you know, coming in. He was like a no nonsense dad type, man.
Yeah.
He you know, he taught me the value of you know, working hard and getting your shots up. Derek Martin was a guy. You know, he did a lot for me.
You had some
Sam
vets
Mitchell.
on that team.
Yeah, we had some vets. That wasn't all at the same time.
Got it.
Michael Curry was only there my freshman year.
Yeah,
Rookie year. Mike, Derek, and Sam, you know, they pretty much took me under their wing. As soon as they got there, I want to say the next year, second through the 6th year.
You grew up a Bulls fan?
No, I wasn't a Bulls fan.
Just an MJ fan?
I was a basketball fan.
Got it.
Just the Mavericks were just, you know, 16 and whatever that year.
Yep.
So it was tough kind of having, you know, some support for the home team.
Yes, I'm aware. And what about now? Like, do you literally root for the Heat and the Raptors?
I root for the Heat.
Like, were you pumped for the Raptors?
Yeah, I was happy for those guys, man. I mean, it was still so many people, the managers and equipment guys
people
and
you actually know,
popcorn guys and the dudes in the stands, you know, that I would talk to every morning.
Yep.
They were still there, and I mean, you know, it's funny. Every time I walked in, they were like, "Chris, could you believe it?" I'm like, "No, I can't. I cannot at all. This is crazy," you know. And then to see them, you know, really, you know, get their moment was amazing. But you know, I root for those guys. I root for Miami. You know, I identify with the teams I played for. You know.
What about other sports? Did you grow up a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan. Yeah.
It's my only win this year for the Jets.
Yeah, you know, it's cool. Yeah. Everybody's always like, "Oh," you always get that all the time. Yeah, you know, I'm from Dallas. I grew up during the glory years, you know, and you know, it's a good franchise. Did
all your homies from back home razz you because of that NBA Finals? That must have been fucking
Which part?
Terrible. Losing to the Mavericks in the NBA Finals.
Oh no, they didn't. They would if they did. We haven't spoken since.
Really?
Yeah. Like, no, we didn't take it.
I was thinking to myself, man, he goes up in Dallas. He loses. You guys, obviously,
that really sucks, by the way.
Of course, it was super disappointing.
It's terrible.
But you've got those 3 or 4 friends that are your boys who might have actually grew up cheering for the Mavericks since they were
none of us. We were all
bandwagon
hurting. We were. I mean, you know, I wouldn't even call it bandwagon. This is I don't have a team.
Fair enough, but like it's
we don't have a wagon.
It's a variation of a wagon. It's an all-star
wagon. A wagon with no wheels.
Here's my thing. I got very into tech in the 2000s and would go to Silicon Valley a lot in 2006, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, because I'm a big sports fan, and this is the time when it was all nerd land.
Yeah.
They barely cared about sports, but when I tell you there was not a person in San Francisco that knew the Warriors played there.
Right.
Like, there wasn't a person on earth. I had never seen or anybody wear a jersey of the Warriors or mention that word in the 4 to 5 year period that I spent 12, 15 times in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And now every kid in Cleveland and Ohio and Dallas wears
Steph Curry's jersey,
right.
shoes, the hat.
What do you think about the notion of people wrapping their own lack of self-esteem into something else, it's like Patriot fans, right? Like a bunch of them razzed me on Monday night, and I was sitting there, I was looking, I'm like, you did nothing. Do not confuse your team's success with your actual success. Thoughts on that?
I mean, you know, there's not much you can say. You know, hey, I get it. You know, people want to feel good. I mean, I remember when we got together with Miami and, you know, it was more Miami fans. We were like, hey, that's great. Then the same guy will have a Cleveland jersey on 4 years later. And it's like, okay, come on, bro.
But that's
you got the hat and the jersey.
But that's what you did.
No, I did not.
Yeah, you liked players.
I liked players, yeah.
Well, that's what that guy did.
I could not have their jersey, nor could I afford their stuff or their shoes.
Shit.
You know, I had their posters. I had the posters on the wall.
$4 poster for
that was about it. You know what I mean?
What about video games? Were you good at it?
Yeah. I play video games for sure.
You're strong or?
Now? No. I'm retired.
In your prime?
In my prime, I was pretty good. Madden was my game. Madden and Call of Duty at one point in time. Black Ops 2.
I love it.
Woo.
I actually bought part of the Minnesota franchise for Call of Duty.
Okay.
So that's my little step towards ownership of the New York Jets. All right,
that's
Chris,
nice, man.
What else do you want to talk about? What else is on your mind?
Man, shoot, what's on your mind, bro? You the guy. I mean,
So,
you
what's on
got
my-
the office by the garden and everything.
Yeah.
My office is not this nice.
The only reason that my office is this nice is because I was smart enough to realize this part of New York was going to blow up before most people did. We committed to this office 5 years ago. This was the only building in this entire area. We're actually paying less rent in this building than the building we left that is like 80% like worse than this because of the way the real estate market worked out. So this was another kind of good bet. What's on my mind? What's on my mind is TikTok.
Yeah.
I think TikTok is the place where people that are trying to make it and have no money.
I've been hearing about TikTok for the past
I
couple
really
months.
think it's a real important place. Esports, we just mentioned it, is very much on my mind. It's I'm just fascinated by the fact that outside of the NBA players and a little bit of soccer players and a couple of football players, like esports athletes are more famous to the 15-year-old today than every single baseball player, than 90% of the NFL, then, I mean, forget about hockey. I feel bad, but like, I'm not sure the average kid can name 5 hockey players that are active in the NHL. So
what about like content creation and, all that stuff? Because I mean,
yeah, obviously. So, I mean, back to your point of being interested in media and content creation, I mean, I think it's the cost of entry for any relevance in our society. I believe that if you're not producing daily for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, that if you don't have a podcast, if you're not thinking about a vlog, that you are just leaving an enormous amount of opportunity on the table.
Yeah. Now, what made you, what made you see that? Because I've, watched, past videos and everything, and you kind of see you've been very passionate about that.
I was a super entrepreneur kid selling baseball cards and all this. Started working in my dad's liquor store, wanted to build it up. We were immigrants. My mom knitted me my Jets jersey, so I understand not being able to afford stuff. And I just realized, ironically, the story goes, and it's true, I was playing Madden 94 in college. My friend came over. He said, "You got to come see this." It's September of 94. I go into a room, and a kid dials up to the internet. The old the dial-up shit. And I was just like, this is it. Nothing else to say. This is it. Like, I believe this is going to be a big deal.
So
and
I
went
right
head
away.
deep, like, I'm talking like love at first sight where you just know.
Yeah.
I went all in, launched an e-commerce wine site in 1996. And the way I built my dad's business for him was building a website, starting the email newsletter, knowing that Google was going to be big, Google AdWords. My real hit change of my career happened when I started a YouTube show about wine in 2006 when I was 31. Back to I thought I was a fucking kid. Back to the beginning of this conversation. This is why I push it all. I'm like, I think I'm a kid now. Like,
that's interesting.
Like, I think Vince has 30 years of professional work to be done when he retires. Like, so I really understand people. That's what I've come to learn. I understand people. I like people a lot. I'm empathetic, which is why my wine brand's called Empathy. Like, I have that in me. And when you have empathy and you think about the other person, when you have compassion, sympathy, empathy, when you have those things mixing, you're actually thinking about the other person. As a matter of fact, if you're a great salesman, you're actually thinking about the other person. I think the reason I've been great at sales my whole life is I sell things I believe in, whether it's wine, services, my sneakers, and then I try to figure out why it's valuable for you. And if it's not, I don't try to force it. And so I've always been good at that. Twitter came, I was right. Tumblr, I was right a lot. I'm right a lot, but I'm not guessing. I already see it. It's kind of like the sports card thing. Right now, a lot of people, LeBron rookies have gone up from 1,100 to 2,300 in the last 4 months since I've been talking about it. It's not because of me. It's just, it was already happening. People are like, whoa, you predicted it. I'm like, I didn't predict it. You could just see that people were moving. I could see that people that were flipping Off-Whites and Yeezys were starting to post on Instagram about sports cards.
Yeah.
They just,
kind of those same
flip kids.
Yeah.
They're just trying to make money. And the sneaker game's impossible. You got to wait in line. You get one pair. You can't get volume.
Yeah.
But like, if you believe in De'Aaron Fox, or if you believe in right now, a lot of my friends in the sports card world really believe in the Miami rookie.
Yeah.
Tyler, what's it?
Tyler Hero,
right?
Yeah, that's my man.
A lot of people are really investing in him because he's the 13th pick, right? I think is right, and just like you can make real money. I mean, I told a bunch of people a year ago to buy Giannis rookies because I thought he was super underpriced. I thought he was going to go. And they went from 200 to 800 for a lot of kids. They're back down to 550, 700. But, like, you know.
It has its market peak.
It's liquid.
Stuff, right?
It's on eBay. And StockX just dropped it.
Yeah, StockX is
So
crazy.
StockX is now flipping it. So now it's cool because that always matters. So, you know, I think content matters. I'm good at it because I understand that people are using TikTok. I don't make emotional decisions and say, well, this is stupid teenagers just doing drop songs. Like, it's not how I see it. I don't think my opinion matters. And I think that's helped me tremendously. I don't impose my opinions on my observations. And I think that's a core strength. And I think that's why I've seen a lot of things.
What was your first hustle? I'll tell you mine. My first hustle, I was burning CDs off Napster.
Yeah. That was a lot of, you're in that age where that was a big one. I love those entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I was
Blow
selling
pops,
suckers too. They didn't work. It was different though. It was
Okay.
like, ooh, it was some different ones. I haven't
seen.
seen. Oh, it was big ones though, and I haven't seen them
Tootsie
since.
Roll
then.
ones?
I don't know. It was made by the same company, but it was a different.
Where were you getting them?
Sucker? Some store
just had it
in South Dallas. Yeah, and I was buying them wholesale and going back to school.
Yeah.
But then I learned about competition because one of my friends were stealing from the grocery store they was working from. Ran me out of business.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's tough to beat somebody getting something for $0.
Man. Then they had a king size Snickers. 25 cents. Oh, man, he crushed
You're
it.
finished. I hate to tell you my first hustle because it's not something I'm proud of, but the first thing I did when I moved to Edison, New Jersey was I would run around the neighborhood and I would rip people's flowers out of their yard and then ring the doorbell and sell it back to them.
They didn't know that those were their flowers? Or
I think they did, but here they see this remarkably cute, 6-year-old, who barely speaks English, and they're like, probably, I mean, first of all, 98% of people said no. One of the reasons I really want kids to work retail or sell something within the first 10 to 15 years of their life is I think that most people have a terrible relationship with no. Mm-hmm. They're scared of no. They're super scared of no. And I think one of the things that's great about working at a restaurant or working at a retail store or trying to sell something within those first 10, 15 years is you get real comfortable with no.
Yeah. What was your first retail job?
I've only worked for my dad's liquor store as a kid and then have run my own stuff. So I've never really worked. Everything up until 14, everything was baseball card shows where I still believe 95% of the shit I do is based on what I learned in the trenches of sports card shows.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I had some crazy hustles. I had one all-time hustle that has to do with basketball. The dollar stores popped up in the 90s, like 91, 92. At first, I know everyone here's a youngster. At first, youngsters, dollar stores weren't like they are now where they have like new stuff and it's made for the dollar store. At first, it was some real shit. Like there was warehouses. The internet didn't exist yet, so you couldn't get rid of stuff on Amazon or eBay. There were warehouses filled with old stuff, and here came the dollar store, and they're just selling stuff. Like old stuff. I remember I bought a ton of Rambo toys that were 1984 toys, but I was buying them in 1992 because they were just in a warehouse. Just old stuff, Zelda books. Like that was what I was looking at, but there's all sorts of stuff. Anyway, one day I go to the dollar store, and they have Shaq figures. When Shaq made huge noise, obviously, when he came to the league, and the same way he is now, he was commercial from the get.
For sure.
And there was a Shaq toy line, but what was weird about this was this had just come out like a year earlier, but they were in the dollar store. So I looked at it. So I bought them all. I bought all 25 that were in the store. And I started walking down the mall. I went to Kmart to look for cards and other collectibles, and I noticed there were Shaq figures in there, and they were $9.99. So I was like, huh. So I bought something at Kmart to get the bag. I went back into the food court. I put the Shaq figures I bought at the dollar store into the Kmart bag, and I went back to Kmart, and I was like, yo, my grandma bought me these toys. I don't really want them. I don't have a receipt. Can I refund them? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, without a receipt and cash, not store credit. Again, this is 1991. Kmart didn't have their shit together yet. And so, so then I went, so then I took 5 of them. I returned them. I got $50 back for what I just paid $5 for about 45 minutes earlier. Then I went back to the dollar. I'm still in the mall. Phillipsburg Mall, big shout out. You look like a fucking disaster now. But I went there last summer. I was crazy. There's like 4 stores open in the whole mall. It's finished. But I went back to the dollar store and said, "Hey, do you have any more Shaq figures?" And the guy working there goes, "Yeah." Went in the back and brought out cases. I was like, "I'll take them all." So I bought them all. Then I came back 2 days later. They had more cases. Over the next month and a half, 2 months, I bought like 400 to 500, 600 Shaq figures for $1 and kept returning them to Kmart for $10. Made like 4 or 5 G's real quick. And then went to Kmart one day. Then it was done. And then like a month later, went to Kmart, just my normal run, looking for X-Men figures or sports cards. There was a whole clearance of Shaq figures for like $4.99. So Gary 1, Kmart 0.
Yeah. My first job was Blockbuster.
And?
My real first
Loved
job
it?
was, no, I hated
it.
I mean, they don't exist anymore.
I know,
so,
but at the time they were hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
Before Netflix, like people don't understand. Blockbuster was hot.
They had it, man. I don't know what happened.
What happened was they didn't buy Netflix for $40 million. I don't remember the exact number, but Blockbuster passed.
They had a chance to. They had a chance to buy them, and
this is one of my favorite stories in business history. Blockbuster passed on buying Netflix for a real low number. Now, they would have bought the old Netflix, which was CDs in the mail. Who knows if Blockbuster would have innovated to make it an OTT. So it's not that 50, right? They passed
50.
on 50 million.
Which I'm sure they had, right?
They passed on 50. The company's now worth at 19.7 billion at this moment. It might be different right now in market, but Twitter took a massive hit today, down 20%. That's what's going on in the news. I don't know when this is airing. Do we have questions? I hit up community. 212-931-5731 is my text community service. That's another thing I'm paying attention to a ton. Texting. I don't know if you've seen like Diddy, Marshmello, a bunch of other people. Like people starting to throw out their numbers.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
It's on the back of this app called Community.
Okay.
And I'm using it. 212-931-5731. On the way here, 5 minutes before I saw you, I sent a text to 4,000 people in Miami saying, "I got your man Chris on the show. Anybody got any questions?" And so it's really an amazing platform.
And you keep saying it on this, and then people listen.
I'm saying it on this right now because everybody's
you.
listening. I'm hoping more people sign up for it. I'm doing a bunch of like, I'm giving away access and first opportunities on that platform because that platform, I have a direct relationship. I'm not at the mercy of Instagram. Instagram's algorithm has clearly taken a turn over the last 2-3 weeks. The same videos that would get 1 million views for me are now getting 600, 700, 800. The ones that used to get 500,000 are now getting 280, 320. So it's happened. And it's happening to a lot of people because I've been bringing it up for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and people are DMing me too, like, "What do I do?" I'm like, "You should have done what I've been telling you to do for 2 years. Build up your fucking TikTok and your Twitter and start a podcast and have an email service." Like, people get one-dimensional.
Yeah.
What do you got? Oh, we're doing calls. Let's go. What do you got? You can dial it.
Well, what's like and that's one of the things I've been fascinated with, trying to figure out how to be multidimensional, especially in the world today. You know what I mean? What's like some things that you think are great that really help you with?
Just set it up.
You know what I mean? Being multidimensional and
I think
having your arms.
Self-awareness. I know that I like to be helter-skelter. The reason I was a bad student is I like a lot of action. So I don't know you well enough, but here would be my question. Being multidimensional first starts with self-awareness. You just might be actually better going super deep on one thing. Or it might be awesome for you to do 4 to 5 things. That becomes a personality trait of like, do you like the chaos or do you like the structure?
Yeah.
So that's first. Second, if you like the chaos, you want to start a watch brand and have a podcast and do the book and be on TNT and do your own version on Instagram. If you want to do all those things, you have to be okay with dropping some of the balls.
Of course.
But it's a really interesting thing. I always, athletes get it a lot. It's a kind of one of those scared money doesn't make money. It's kind of like, and you know this, you grew up, and I don't know how you were about this, but there was a lot of guys that don't want to take the last shot. And there's a lot of people that, right?
Right.
There's just a lot of guys that don't want to, and there's guys that do, and things of that nature. I think it's a self-awareness game. And you have to be okay with missing things. It's just like the last shot. You have to be okay with missing it. If you start 5 things with a team, you need to be okay with 2 of them failing. I'm not scared of anything failing except VaynerMedia, because all those other things are side dishes, and inevitably some of them are going to fall. And I'm okay with the booing. I actually use basketball a lot with this. I always find it fascinating that people are scared to do things when their life isn't over yet. And I always make it the analogy of, If you're the home team in basketball and the road team goes on 11-0 run in the second quarter and you call timeout, your home team is booing you, the home crowd. Right? They're booing. They're upset. They're frustrated.
I mean, it depends. In New York, yeah, they're booing you.
They're booing in a lot of places. They're booing in a lot of places. So I always tell people, like, hey, you need to be okay with that and wait to 0-0 when it's over, right? Mm-hmm. That's the answer for multidimensional stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. Who's this?
This is Martin.
Martin? Let's see what Martin has to say.
Hello?
Martin?
Yo, what's up?
What's up? It's Gary Vaynerchuk and Chris Bosh, and we're calling you.
Holy shit, what's up, Gary? How you doing?
I'm feeling phenomenal. Say what's up to Chris, please.
What's up, Chris?
How's it going, man?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
What's your question?
Well, so my question to Chris is, obviously Gary talked a lot about buying the Jets one day and potentially changing the culture. And I guess my question to Chris is, do you think that it's really possible that he could come in there with the same kind of mentality he does to business and make pros and the organization around it change and make it turn it into what he does with everything else that he's touched so far?
You talking about the Jets?
Yeah, his main question, I think, in the macro for everybody's value, taking me out of it a little bit, is do you believe ownership has the ability to make an impact on winning?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it starts from the top. In my situation in professional sports, if you get somewhere and you're supposed to win a championship and the floors aren't clean, the locker room's not clean, you don't know the owner at all, you don't know anything about the place, that takes a huge effect on the culture of things. It trickles all the way down. And, it kind of sets this precedent like nobody knows what's going on. Yep. So, yeah, it definitely can start from the top. I mean, that's where it starts because it takes usually you've seen, some gunslinging owners coming in and saying, hey, it's time to win.
Yeah.
And it just changes everybody's mentality.
Daniel Snyder, came in with that. It has not worked. Mark Cuban did. It did work. And by the way, Martin, just because you are gold in something doesn't necessarily mean you are in the next thing. Like, I have outrageous levels of confidence that I'm going to buy the Jets and win Super Bowls, but that's because I think I'm an operator. Like, to me, a lot of times operators do well in other operating situations. I think if you look at owners, trust fund babies do poorly because they've never operated anything. They were just in the lineage of ownership.
For sure.
I think Michael Jordan's done an atrocious job, and you see this a lot with athletes when they go to coaching or ownership. They really struggle because they did it on their back. They've never managed anything. They just were a superstar at their sport, but they don't know how to actually create a culture or build something. So Michael Jordan's done an atrocious job. That's just fun for me to say. So I think if you look at the ownership groups that have done well, there has been there's been two ways I've seen it work. One, this is an individual that has operated other things and they understand how to build culture, hire good people, put them in a position to succeed, build relationships from the popcorn guy to the superstar to the GM to the fans. Or number two, there absolutely is some trust fund baby, lucky sperm club ownerships that I've seen the Giants. It makes me sad to say that, but you see good families groom their children in a way that makes them good owners, and you have seen that as well. Not spoiled, make them actually work a little, that kind of stuff.
So where have you seen the best culture in your professional career, Chris?
I mean, the one I've been a part of,
Miami.
Pat Riley, he's done a phenomenal job, and one of the things about setting a culture for something, not everybody is going to agree. It's not for everybody, but the structure is there from the bottom to the top of what everybody's expectations are, what your job is supposed to be, and, just really the level that everybody's supposed to meet every day. So if we're here and this, we're here to win a championship, that has to go into everything that we do, the thought process, the things you wear, the way you speak to people, the way you solve problems, and I definitely have to give credit to the Heat. Those guys do a tremendous job because it has been the same. And,
the
they
ownership
keep
is
going.
really strong there. Miami fans are a little funny because it's just such nice weather. Like, they're funny. Like, watching what you guys roll and them not selling out playoff games along the way, that's just audacity, and that's just Miami. They're a funny fan base, not to razz Miami. It's a town that is fun. Like, the ownership for the Heat is phenomenal to me. The fan base is a little funny. You guys didn't sell out playoff games. That's crazy.
I don't. Were you? I don't.
Yes, I watched very carefully.
It was loud.
Yeah, I know it was loud, but like,
you know,
anyway. Can we talk about your rebound?
Yeah, sure.
Good. I believe that your rebound is one of the all-time most underrated plays in sports history because of the impact it has on the enormous passion people have debating the GOAT when it comes to basketball. I mean, in its basic form, for the non-basketball fans that are listening, Chris gets a rebound in an NBA Finals, kicks it out to Ray Allen. That basically, I mean, just very black and white. The series ends if he doesn't. I believe, I was a little passive with basketball, but LeBron, I think, took that shot. Like, that means he would have missed that shot. They would have lost that series. That's a big fucking play, bro.
Yeah, it kind of, things happen a little differently. I think our future's different.
Do people, Mark, thanks so much, brother. Do people, sorry. No, listen,
Bro, you're like, oh my God.
I'm like sports radio. I want to get into a point. I had to put him off. I didn't need him jumping in. Chris, do a lot of, like, I'm a hardcore sports fan. I've watched every play of a New York Jets game since 1982. So I know every single play. Obviously, this is a finals game. It's a huge play. I feel like if I was a Heat fan and I came across you at an airport, I would be over the top compelled. I wouldn't want to bother you, but I would have to find some way to be like, bro, that rebound means everything to me. Like, do you get a lot of love? Or, back to my point, that this is one of the great underrated plays in NBA history. Is it just that's the way life is? It's a sneaky little part of it. Most people don't go to that extra layer of thinking of what actually happened.
I mean, I think it kind of goes both ways. Yeah. People, see it and they'll, tell me about it. And then, you have, all I wanted to ever do was make a big play.
Is that true?
Yeah, for sure.
That's
I mean,
cool.
as a kid growing up,
games. You probably did Game 7 NBA Finals.
Oh my goodness, 1-2-1. You miss it and say, oh, it's overtime.
No, he got fouled.
You play those games and stuff like that. The ironic part for me was that it was really an exercise for me because I didn't score in that game. No, Game 6 I did. It was just a struggle for me offensively in that whole series.
You were just off with yourself, or they defended you well?
Yeah, they defended. I mean, it's the best team in the world,
I get it.
The way they were defending us, they pretty much LeBron and Dwayne had to carry us. They stuck to me. Didn't really rotate much, and it was working.
Who was sticking to you, Tim?
Yeah, me and Tim was pretty much matched up the whole series. But the way they were doing it. Is he a great
human being? Seems like a nice
I don't know.
guy.
I mean, I'm sure he is. I don't know him that well.
Right?
Yeah,
Nobody
he's quiet.
knows him.
Phenomenal basketball player.
Clearly.
And, great coach, I'm sure. But, at the time, it was just it was a very tough series. And everything happened so fast. We were winning and we were in control of that game.
I remember.
With 2 minutes left. We get into a situation where we've got Bron on Tony Parker. That was our game plan for the late game situations. All right, we've executed it perfectly. Tony hits that step back 3. We turn it over a couple times. We're down 5 points. It just happens really quick. The only thing that kept me in it was that my wife, when you're about to lose a big game, you look around at your family for sympathy. It's just like that look when it's like, damn. But I looked at her, and she wasn't looking at me. She just stood up and started clapping. And it's kind of like a shell shock when you go to the bench. It's kind of like, holy shit, oh no. And we were just kind of, I was looking at everybody else and said, yeah, this is not a good situation. I looked at my wife, and she just stood up and started clapping, was like, I don't know what the hell she was looking at. And so that snapped me back into it. And, we were able to make the plays to extend the game and extend the series. That rebound just happened because
Well, it's a you're playing basketball.
Yeah, playing basketball.
But it's fucking huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was able to watch the trajectory of the ball. You know what I mean? So back some time ago, one of my good friends told me, hey, or a great player told me, if you want to get a rebound, you get there before the ball gets there, right? So in that situation, I could watch you practice watching the ball hit, go, and you just know where it goes after a while. I was able to kind of watch it the whole way.
Yep.
And, first person I saw was Ray.
It's a good person to see.
And in my mind, it happened it's like slow motion, like the Matrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In real time, it still does not.
Second,
it still does not seem that way in my mind to me. Like I watch it, it's like okay.
I genuinely think that play's really underrated.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even want.
Please.
I like the fact that it's kind of under there, kind of hanging right there in plain sight. Because you just hope that you can make those type of plays that people will remember. I remember when Jordan hit all those shots, Paxson, Steve Kerr, Hakeem Olajuwon.
I just think that play needs to be branded more. I really, really genuinely think like that needs to be more known as like the rebound. It is that big. I really do think it's that big. And honestly, I hate Michael Jordan, so I've spent my entire last 15 years hoping and wishing and rooting for LeBron to do whatever he needs to do to like climb that ladder. It's crazy. My number one grateful thing towards you is that rebound, because without it, that game would have been over and the series would have been over.
Yeah, they probably would have made some changes with the team. I mean, we were fully aware. We were fully aware of what we were up against. It's just but I always tell people I'll get mad when somebody said, "Well, the game's over." I get so mad, because it's like, the game is never over until you say like 000.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, we'll leave. Don't leave.
That was really, first of all, especially my two favorite sports, basketball and football, are funny like that. Like, there's just something to. Actually, all of them. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Just don't leave, man. And so, I tell people, even you have to stick with things. Even, sometimes you'll give up on yourself or something like that when you're right on the cusp, even though it's close.
When was the hottest you were in your career? Like, when I ask you that question, what stretch of time, what period, like what 2 weeks? I've always fascinated. Like, it's funny. I've been during the majority of your career, I was quite passive with basketball in comparison. Knicks went into a coma, and my career took off, and I was working till 11 p.m. every weekday. So unlike football, where Sunday I could make the commitment, it was hard for me to get all in. But in my childhood, I was super in. I actually, back to the Spurs, I just remember David Robinson would have pockets where he would just go lightning hot. Like, it was just really interesting to watch some people go. Like, when I ask you that question, do you think of like year 3 in Toronto of just like this 2 weeks where you were just 30 and 20? Like was there ever a period that you actually remember being ultra hot for like a week or 2 or a month?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Maybe it was a couple times when a month I feel like I couldn't miss, but you forget those pretty quickly, because it keeps coming at you.
Stuff.
Yeah, you remember. I remember like the big stuff. You know what I mean? After a while, I was like, all right, I was hot for a week. I still didn't get the accolades, so I didn't get those awards that normally come with hotness.
I get it.
So that made me kind of say, all right, this really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Talk to me about one of my favorite cultural moments ever. That concert you guys put on when you guys all signed there.
That's pretty sweet, wasn't it?
It's
pretty sweet.
When's the last time you saw it, like on the internet or on TV by accident?
I was watching it like the other week. Yeah, because we've been talking about it.
It's a fun moment, right?
I mean, we were having fun.
You were real happy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I
remember that part the most. I'm like, man, he's real happy.
It's warm right now. Usually it's starting to get chilly. I like the chill and the light brisk in Toronto Falls, but this is something different.
On some real shit, do you view that chapter? I mean, you guys like it. Back to the 4, 5, 6. Like it really. Like I remember being like, oh man, this is gonna be boring for a long time. Like,
exciting.
Obviously, the Spurs had an incredible dynasty going at the same time, and that Mavericks team got hot at the right, kind of way. Like, I mean, this is a really challenging question, and I'm not looking to make it challenging. I'm just genuinely curious. I'm curious. Do you view that chapter as a success, or is there a level of disappointment because you thought you could have done more?
No,
honestly.
it's success.
Okay,
it's success.
I could see it either way. I really genuinely didn't know. I was curious.
Well, I mean, people have to. So the whole story behind that was right. We sign, we're there. The decision is the night before.
Yes,
we're having crazy parties. It's Miami. You know what I mean? I had never seen that many cameras around our hotel. We were in at the W. I mean, sea of cameras, hundreds and hundreds of cameras. We haven't even played a game. So the next day, you know, I know basketball. All right, we're going to do the press conference. We're going to go through the whole thing. We hold up the jerseys. Boom, we're going to get out of here. You know, 12 o'clock comes, noon, nothing. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Nobody's hitting us back. We're just sitting in the hotel room, just sitting there.
The three of you?
No. Me and my family.
Understood.
I hadn't slept in 24 hours. I was just up. So they eventually call us. All right, hey, come down to the arena about 5 or 6 o'clock. We pull up to the arena. It's thousands and thousands of people. They got jerseys printed already, posters everywhere. It was overwhelming. And then we got in there, and they said, all right, this is what's going on. And they explained everything to us. And I was like, yo, that's so cool. This is crazy. And, you know, they had the build up there because there was a concert there the next day. I just found this out. So everybody thought we didn't, you know.
Honestly, I wasn't even worried about that. It was just that image in my head of like the three of you. Like you guys were just like, that must have just been an incredible moment.
It was amazing.
I love
25,000 people there with no basketball.
And you're in your 20s. And optimism is attractive to me.
Ooh,
and you guys were like, we're going to win 87 fucking
You saw what happened when Jordan and them got together. What about us? You know,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like, you know, it
yeah.
felt, and, you know, we were just, it was kind of, you know, being young and naive at that time too,
course.
because everybody was happy. We weren't worried about watching what we say. We didn't know that things could get out as quickly as they
How
could.
early did you think about free agency at that point in your career? Like, when did it start seeping into your head? Like, a year before it happened, during that season, late? Like
Before 2010?
Yeah, like when did, like, as a, you know, you're a human. Like,
Yeah.
you were like I know I know you were a professional and focused on the season at hand.
Yeah.
But you're a fucking human. You might have thought about. I got kids.
Yeah.
I got kids that we're talking to right now for next NFL draft, who are worried about their second contract 4 or 5 years from now. And I think that's smart, not stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm just actually curious, for you, when did free agency and how that was going to play out in your mind?
It kind of really started playing into a 2008.
2 years before.
Yeah, 2 years before. Not that we were, you
Your
know, not that I
agent,
was
your
obsessing.
family,
We had
yourself.
signed the deal.
Yep.
The 3 with the 4-year option.
Yep.
So, you know, that was getting closer.
Yep.
And once that started getting closer, it became this, you know, thing. So people would ask you about it. They force it in your head.
of course.
You know, so they make you think about it.
Yeah, that's right.
And, you know,
Yeah.
people
human.
lead you. The people lead you. And
you're a
then,
human.
yeah, well, I was human and I didn't put 2 and 2 together as far as like having the foresight to look at the class. Then you see who all is going to be available in 2010. All right, yeah, it's going to be, you know, a shit show in 2010. I got to get ready for it, but every single day it was, you know, questions and everything. But I had to get to the point where I'm back to leading my team, so I couldn't really worry about that stuff because they wanted me to leave. Vince left. You're gonna leave, aren't you?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I had to deal with all that stuff, so that wasn't that fun.
No, it wasn't.
You know,
It's a constant story up in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it kind of sucked, and you know, just making a decision to play on the big stage. I wanted to play on the big stage.
Who did you think was going to draft you? This is always my favorite question.
People always told me Toronto. It was either Toronto or Miami. Yeah, and so that's why it's kind of funny going to Miami. It was kind of coming full circle.
Those were two teams that you kind of, your agent, like the process, the interviews beforehand, like you felt like those were the ones zeroing in.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 for me the whole time. And, you know, people were telling me, yeah, you're not going to make it to 5. So, you know, just be ready. Toronto, you're going to Toronto. You still don't believe them. You still have to go through the process of getting drafted and everything. And, you know, it worked out.
What do you think about all those baggy suits?
They were terrible. I looked at my suit. I thought I was so cool.
Of course, that was the fresh style then.
Yeah, that was.
Wait
but
till
man,
people look back at what the shit they're wearing right now.
Oh yeah, with the
10
spikes and crystals
these
and
fucking beanies and tight jeans.
Yeah,
and
these new-
beards. These kids are gonna be like, "Who the fuck was I 20 years?"
I think
from
what
now?
Trae Young wore shorts.
I know. It's crazy to watch Fashion Above. Chris, thanks for being on the show.
Man, I appreciate it.
Real
Man.
pleasure.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, real pleasure. This was episode 369, was it? Or 329? All right, we got 40 more to go to get there. 212-931-5731. Hit it. Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. That was fun.